Good evening. Welcome to News Starr today live on Star 103.5 FM with me, Joshua Kwame Ayira. Coming up. Coming up, what do you have to hide? That's the question the opposition NDC is asking the Electoral Commission, as it describes as surprising the EC's refusal to allow the agent capture serial numbers of BVR kits in the ongoing voter registration exercise.
Resisting and stopping NDC registration agents from recording the serial numbers of biometric voter registration kits. Why? The question is, what does the EC have to hide? What is their fear over the mere recording of the serial numbers of these BVR kits?
You heard the national chairman of the NDC not letting down or letting go their suspicion of EC's current situation. We'll be hearing from the Electoral Commission, of course, the respective parties. Still to come, governance expert Dr. Odrosai urges Media Foundation for West Africa to seek legal redress following presidency's refusal to grant their request to release KPMG audit report on SML deal.
The law allows him to make it public. Why not? But he cited sections of the RTI law that prevent him from making that document public. So that's what he has cited. So if anybody feels strongly about it, country of rule of law, you go to court for interpretation.
We'll hear from a member of the Right to Information Coalition. Also, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia accuses some ECG staff of initially sabotaging efforts to digitalize the company.
We need to send in a team to digitalize revenue collection at the Electricity Company of Ghana. Can you believe that workers within the system sabotaged, they put in ransomware, and the system essentially collapsed?
Still to come, TTAG demands immediate posting of newly qualified teachers by end of May 2024. We have details of these stories and many others coming up shortly. Please do stay with us.
Star News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Star 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Star 103.5 FM. Star News. Informed, in depth, in touch.
Good evening and welcome once again. This is Star Today live on Star 103.5 FM. We are streaming live on Facebook at our handle 1035 FM. We also coming to you live from our studio Platinum Place Northridge here in Accra. My name is Joshua Kwame Ayira. Now let's settle for the details of our top stories. Now, the NDC has described as surprising the Electoral Commission's refusal to allow its agents capture serial numbers of biometric voter registration kits, BVRs, being used for the ongoing limited voter registration exercise. The NDC had requested for the serial numbers of the BVRs in a move, as it says, to improve transparency of the process as well as safeguard the integrity of the BVRs following recent reports of some of the machines getting stolen. But the Electoral Commission, or the Electoral Management Body, argues the capturing of the serial numbers has dire security implications, reasons it has never been shared to the parties. Now we're bringing you an excerpt of this particular statement issued by the Electoral Management Body following the request by the NDC for the release of some serial numbers, as they are demanding following what is currently ongoing, that is a 21-day limited voter registration exercise. My colleague Musa Lansar joins me in the studio to bring us the details of this particular statement issued by the Electoral Management Body. Musa?
Yes, Joshua.
What more does the statement contain?
Well, the statement is signed by the Acting Director of Public Affairs of the Electoral Commission, and they give 5 reasons why they cannot release the serial numbers to the political parties. It says one, it can compromise the security of the kits, and 2, they are talking about targeted manipulation by individuals and possible phishing and fraud if people get to know the serial numbers, and also it also may impact on the operational integrity of the Electoral Commission, and also they indicated that the Right to Information Act provides that if that information may create problems for such a body as the EC, they should not deliver it to any other person apart from the elections management body. So the first one, as it's captioned, is a compromise of kit security. It says the serial numbers are integral to the security framework of the BVR kits. Disclosure of these numbers could potentially allow unauthorized access to the device, thereby compromising the integrity of the voters' registration exercise. And 2, targeted manipulation risk. Knowledge of the serial numbers could enable targeted attacks on specific BVRs located at certain parts of the country, thereby causing chaos, political conflict, and operational challenges. 3, phishing and fraud. Serial numbers could be used to facilitate fraudulent activities, including phishing attacks, where a criminal with a serial number can trick EC personnel into believing they are registration officials, potentially leading to unauthorized disclosures and access to sensitive information. And then the 4th one, the Electoral Commission maintains a structured protocol for the activation and operation of BVR kits, designed to ensure that all devices are solely used for the intended purpose and by authorized personnel only. Disclosing serial numbers disrupts this protocol and endangers the operational integrity of the electoral system. And they concluded on that one by saying that given the above potential risk that disclosing serial numbers of BVR kits could pose, it is pertinent for stakeholders to address their minds to Section 7, subsection 1J of the Right to Information Act 2019, Act 989, which provides in part as follows. Information is exempt from disclosure where the information contains matters which, if disclosed, can reasonably be expected to endanger a system, including computer and communication systems for which security is reasonably required.
Right. So that essentially
that's the first part of the statement.
So essentially, EC's argument that it could compromise some security provisions.
Yeah.
They are citing the section in RTI. That is what Section 7. 1I of the RTI, basing the argument on that. Yes,
that's the argument. And there's a second part in terms of if the NDC has issues.
Right.
It says that while disclosure of serial numbers of BVRs has never been done, it is essential for the general public to recognize the following measures of transparency and accountability.
Right.
So they may not disclose the BVR details to you, but there are processes for transparency and accountability. And one of them is gazetted centers. That all voter registration centers are officially gazetted, and all political parties and other stakeholders have access to this information, allowing them to track accurately and transparently registered voters from each registration center. There can be no voter registration data added to the voters register from any location that is not on the list of gazetted registration centers. 2, polling agent oversight. Political parties have polling agents present at all registration centers, ensuring direct oversight of the registration process. 3, detailed reporting. The Commission provides a start of day and end of day reports detailing the number of persons registered at each registration center. And then D, provisional register. All political parties receive a copy of the provisional register prior to the voters' register exhibition to enable them scrutinize provisional register and to identify any issues that they want to raise during the exhibition. So they'll give you the provisional register. So if you have any issue, you raise them. And there's a final register. All political parties receive a copy of the final register and can still raise any issues they have with the commission. And participation in DRLC process, that all political parties are actively involved in the district registration review committees established in each district to examine challenges related to the registration of voters in the district. All political parties participate in the DRRC process, further ensuring fairness and transparency. And participation in adjudication process. As an added layer of transparency and accountability, all political parties form a part of the adjudication committee established to deal with multiple registrations which the biometric system flags after the voter registration exercise. So they don't give you the serial numbers, but if you have any issues to deal with after the registration, you have the opportunity to do that through start of day report and end of day report, then the adjudication committees that are set up, and the provisional register that is given to you before the exhibition, and then the final register that is given to you after the exhibition. So you still have processes. So the EC says the NDC should not worry. Whatever they are worried about can be dealt with even after the registration exercises.
So essentially, this statement, they are not actually discrediting or rubbishing NDC's concerns, but they are also, they fear that if we should release these serial numbers of these BVRs to you.
And today, we know what can happen from the EC. People
Right.
can just hack into their systems from any part of the country or even outside this country if they give the serial numbers, and then they include people's names or even delete people's names. That is the excuse they are saying. And that if they even give you the BVRs, you can go to a registration center and tell them, I'm an official of the EC, and provide the serial numbers.
Right.
And then you can do whatever you want to do. So the EC is defending itself. The NDC says no.
I can
we can't
understand.
trust you, especially so that even in your office, some BVRs were stolen.
missing. That's their concern that we're raising. But we'll be hearing from the Deputy Chair in charge of operations there, Dr. Bosman Asare, there to give us some clarifications on this particular matter, because the NDC's concerns are that if you are saying that issuing or giving us these serial numbers or allowing our party agents to take pictures of these serial numbers could compromise or upset some security protocols, then what of those that were stolen? We'll be getting more reactions on the back of that right here on Starr today. But still on the matter, while addressing the media a while ago, Chairman of the party, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, is questioning the Electoral Commission on what it seeks to hide, vowing that the party's agents will continue recording the serial numbers. Let's have a listen.
Threat of a compromised voters register. We adopted a precautionary measure going into the limited registration exercise. And that is why the NDC tasked its registration agents across the country to record the serial numbers of all BVR kits that will be deployed by the Electoral Commission. And the logic is simple. You have so many registration kits. You claim some thief has stolen some of them. If we cannot track those that are missing, at least we can track those that are in use now. So that when we know those that are in use, then data from any other equipment that is not in use in our registration centers here would then be rejected as fraudulent data that is coming from elsewhere. Now that too, you say no way, we won't allow you to take the serial numbers and track the equipment that is being used in this country. What is the reason? Ladies and gentlemen, we are utterly surprised that this precautionary measure, simple as it may be, taken by the NDC, is being resisted fiercely by the Electoral Commission. For whatever purpose, nobody knows. Why is the EC resisting and stopping NDC registration agents from recording the serial numbers of biometric voter registration kits? Why? The question is, what does the EC have to hide? What is their fear over the mere recording of the serial numbers of these BVR kits, knowing very well some have been stolen under your watch? We wish to serve notice a notice is hereby served that NDC registration agents across the country will resist the EC's clandestine attempts aimed at diminishing transparency in the voter registration exercise. Let me emphasize that our agents must activate the party's high-tech application systems to transmit all serial numbers of BVR kits in their district and electoral areas to the National Elections and IT Directorate of the party, with or without the approval of the Electoral Commission. We shall not falter, we shall not relent, we shall not tire, and we will live true to our mantra. NDC, no retreat, no surrender. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not expect the Electoral Commission of Ghana to act as the conduit through which Akufo-Addo will implement his avowed determination not to hand over power to the visionary, experienced, and trustworthy John Dramani Mahama. MPP must choose peaceful transfer of power from the MPP president to the National Democratic Congress in their own interest. The 2024 elections will not be business as usual. The EC must sit up. The EC must answer the 35 questions posed by the NDC on the stolen biometric equipment. And the EC has no option but to allow our agents to record the serial numbers of the BVR kits deployed for this registration exercise if they have nothing to hide.
Well, the NDC chair has also debunked claims by the EC that capturing the serial numbers will have adverse security implications. According to Johnson Esiedun Ketia, the claim by the EC simply is a contradiction to its stance on the stolen BVRs.
The serial numbers are integral to the security framework of BVR kits. Disclosure of these numbers could potentially allow unauthorized access to the devices, thereby compromising integrity of the voter registration process. What about the stolen ones? Were they not stolen together with their serial numbers? And when the thieves entered there, didn't they have opportunity to even pick as many serial numbers as possible from those they couldn't carry away? And the same commission is telling us that we shouldn't mind. The keys are mere keys. If they are not activated, they cannot be used for anything. Well, you do your activation. We are not asking you to give us the code to register, to activate. We said that let's see it and copy the number. The same way the thieves who have stolen these ones are in the know of the numbers. So you see, they are shooting themselves down. So is the Electoral Commission maintaining that the serial numbers pose security risks to the integrity of the whole system? And if so, how can the same math be telling us that we shouldn't mind, because after all, those that have been stolen by thieves are of no consequences if they are not activated? Or they are telling us that if you are NDC and you pick the serial number, it is dangerous. If you are a thief and you pick the serial number, it's safe.
So you had the national chairman of the opposition NDC, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, there earlier in a news conference addressing some issues that they have identified, particularly with the BVRs that were stolen, and also some serial numbers that the party agent there at the ongoing limited voter registration exercise tried to take pictures of some BVRs and also demanding the serial numbers of these BVRs to be released. However, EC says that that could compromise some security provisions there, and they cited Section 7 of the RTI, for which reasons they are making such an argument. But the national chairman debunked and discredited the concerns or the reasons being given by the EC. Well, let's hear from the Deputy General Secretary of the ruling NPP, Mr. Haruna Mohammed or Mahama. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you very much for making time with us on Starr today.
Thank you.
It will not be out of place for me to ask you what your assessment of the 3 days limited voter registration exercise has been so far, given the fact that the first day of the electoral exercise or registration exercise, we saw some massive defective devices also hampering this particular exercise. And later, the EC had to resort to offline registration processes. What is your assessment so far?
Well, thank you very much. I say good afternoon to you, good evening to your cherished listeners. For us from the MPP, the process has not been as smooth as we think it should have been. However, in making an analysis and informed decision, you look at the previous what happened. If you look at 2023, the first day of the registration, even though there were no challenges, just as is happening now, they were able to register across the country about 12,000. And this one, even with the challenges, they have been able to register about 17,000, even though we are not satisfied with the process in terms of the network challenge and breakdown of machines. So we are not very much satisfied with the process, but it's early days yet to pass judgment on the 21-day exercise out of 3 days. So for us, we are very optimistic that things will change, and also rely on the fact that the Electoral Commission has said that they are ready to add days depending on these particular technicalities, what has impacted on the registration process.
The registration process is also seeing some other concerns with relative to busing of applicants to registration centers, and the EC is actually cautioning political parties to desist. But it's something that we've heard and seen reports from our reporters across, where we see political party agents or political parties still busing. What is really accounting for this?
First and foremost, it depends upon the kind of busing they are talking about. The registration is not done at one center. It's not done at every polling station or done at electoral areas. You would go to a constituency where we have about 130 electoral areas, or we have about 100 or 200 and something plus polling stations. And all this, the registration is done at the Electoral Commission's office. And some of them, they have distance at which you have to travel from the community to the district capital to be able to attend to the registrations. And some are also residents. As I'm here, if I have not been able to register, I'm from Zabzugu. Do I have to walk to Zabzugu, or I have to enter a car or fly to the place? So it depends upon the category of person that they are talking about. If you check very well in 2023, somewhere around 21st of September 2023, our people in the Volta region reported a matter to the police with regards to Krati East. And this matter was investigated and the perpetrators were dealt with. It was a 33-seater bus. The laws are there for us to apply. We don't go and argue with the people and say that people are passing this and that. But we must apply the law. And if you look at the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana and the CI, that is CI 91 and CI 126, it makes it possible for us to be able to assess who is eligible to register. So if these persons are not eligible to register, you have the option to use the challenge provision in the regulations of the CI 91 to challenge this personality based on the grounds that you think that they are not eligible to register. So as a law-abiding party, we are mindful of where to make noise and where to make an incisive decision in terms of the law.
Now, for context, the EC says that a lot of the times, per their readings, applicants or persons who are bused to these registration centers are usually minors who are not of age yet to even register. And secondly, they've also had reports of foreigners also being bused to the registration centers. How do you react to this?
Basically, for us in the MPP, we are against minors. And that is why we have always said that we should sanitize the register. And that is why in 2012, when we were introducing and commending to the Electoral Commission to do the biometric system, the NDC was against it. They had to beat and remove the eye of justice. They had to whip a lot of people, including Dr. Sridaku. Many other MPP people were beaten. Today we have a biometric system. In 2021, COVID was there. We said that minors were affecting the registration and the integrity of the register. So we pushed forward. A new register has been compiled. And we are continuing to make this particular effort. I don't think that any single MPP member will send a minor to a registration center. If this is something that is happening at the registration center, let us use the law, because the CI is against the registration of minors. It's endangering the future of the Ghanaian citizen, and that is why the MPP party, in its core values, has to introduce the free senior high school policy. So we are not going to accept the registration of minors, and any other person per the CI can challenge the registration of minors, including the security, including the registration officers, and any registered voter of sound mind can challenge the registration of any minor. And I believe that if this is where it is situated, I think that it is not.
Now, on to some other substantive matters. Your friends under the umbrella NDC have raised some concerns with the BVRs, and they are calling for a release of the serial numbers as a party. What is your take on this particular matter? Because the last IPAC meeting was supposed to iron out these things and also have all parties be abreast of the outline of this particular limited voter registration exercise. So if you hear your friends from the other side making claims and suspicions that the BVR, serial numbers of these BVR should be made available to them.
You see, our brothers in the NDC are making too many noise. Why I'm saying so is that never in the history of this country that BVR serial numbers have been given to political parties. Never. Where we get BVR numbers is when we get to the registration center. When we get to the registration center, you have to inspect and record the information on this particular BVR. For you to collect a BVR now, it is very suspicious. This is the same NDC that came to tell us that BVRs were stolen. Eventually, when investigations were being done, something of that nature had happened because some officers, temporary officers, who are not permanent officers of the Electoral Commission, had the opportunity not to pack this BVR and submit as requested by the commissioner. So something has to be done on this, and they are coming forward to let us understand that they have hands in the missing of some of these BVRs. Why are they asking for the serial numbers? We have never, no political party has ever been given a BVR. Serial number. It will endanger the security situations of this BVR. You know, antivirus is a product that you do. People do it and get money from that. So you have to first of all create a virus. It will endanger the security of the BVRs because these are the security feature that leads to how these BVRs are manufactured, the features and everything that happens in the BVR. I don't think that it is a right call. And then the Electoral Commission, I understand they've written a certain response. And from my point of view in terms of IT, I don't buy the idea that BVR serial numbers should be given to the NDC. I don't know where they are getting their stuff from, but they should stop creating the mindset that they will be able to destabilize the electoral system. No, we are going to stick to a good electoral system.
Now, they are saying that if you don't want to give us the serial numbers of these BVRs, which is actually used for the registration exercises, what of those BVRs that were actually stolen, including its serial numbers?
The NDC people should be investigated for this matter because you are not in somebody's house. You are able to say that something has been stolen from that person's house. I have been saying this, and the police is adamant that the NDC should have been arrested by now. People who are mentioning this should have been arrested and investigated. I have my house. You are determining that in my house, this and that has been missing. It means that you sent somebody, you plotted somebody to do something in terms of the missing of those items. So they have to be arrested and investigated on this particular matter.
How do we resolve this? Because of course, I mean, you have options available to you. When I say you, I mean all political parties. That is for the adjudicating processes. That in the end, if you have any concerns, reach out to the EC, and with the provisions available, the adjudication processes, you can actually submit your report before and after this whole electoral or registration exercise to address some of these concerns. Do you think that, in your view, the NDCs are actually taking advantage of some of these provisions, or they are actually on a certain hand to either, as it were, give EC a bag name? It's more like give a dog a bag name and then hang it.
They have been asked by certain bodies to come with these serial numbers and for them to destabilize the electoral system. So they are asking for it to do something else.
Mr. Amam, what do you say? You say that the NDCs... Let me pick your thoughts again.
I think that maybe the NDC is interested in the serial numbers to develop an IT plot against the system that has been used. The absence of serial numbers given to political parties cannot affect anything about the registration process. Read the CI, read CI 91, read amended CI, which is CI 126. There is nowhere that the parties have to request for serial numbers of BVRs that are used for that. Parties have the opportunity to record these serial numbers at the registration center. Parties are at the liberty to record these numbers at the registration. So I don't know why they are making this to look like it is a market issue. You can record these serial numbers at the registration point. So you don't come out and be asking that they should be given to you. To do what? Look, the CIs are provided the opportunity for agents. We are provided for agents for all the registration, all the 268 registration centers, and also the electoral areas that they are moving out to. We have agents, and the agents are at the liberty to record these information that we need. So I don't know why they are making this to look like, I don't think they are very much serious in the registration process, but they want to create some certain information because they have said it, and today we are just discussing it, which is non-productive to the registration process.
Very well. Thank you very much, Haruna. Haruna Mohammed is the Deputy Communications Director of the governing New Patriotic Party there, raising some concerns. And he is saying that the NDCs raising concerns or claiming that some BVDs have been stolen should be investigated and subsequently, of course, arrested to address these particular issues. And he says that they are also against the EC's position that political parties are busing minors and foreigners to registration centers to register, as it were, that the position of the party, that is the NPP, that they are against the registration of minors, and they have been asking that the EC sanitize the register to eliminate minors, and because they claim that that will be affecting the integrity of registration processes, and that will not augur well for the party and, of course, for the political system at large. We're still on the matter, and we'll let you also know that this is the third day of the 21-day limited voter registration exercise. The first day of the limited voter registration exercise actually got marred by some network and technical challenges, which actually saw almost about 90% of the registration centers across the 280 district offices of the EC seeing very limited registration exercises or registration processes being conducted, and that affected it. The second day equally saw same, but the EC had to resort to offline registration processes. But as you are aware, the EC has switched to the offline mode of registration on day 3 of the exercise following continuous challenges with the network connectivity. Let's see how the process has been in the various regions, and we begin with the Ashanti region, where the Electoral Commission's limited voters registration exercise, or center rather, were overwhelmed by young applicants who have attained 18 years seeking to be captured on Electoral Commission's database for voters' ID. Majority of the young applicants, who are final year senior high school students, disclosed they may quit the registration centers to school tomorrow. They described the exercise as very disappointing, explaining the Ghana Education Service 4 days break for the registration exercise will end tomorrow without capturing the majority of them. Have a listen.
What worries me the most is that they said SHS students should come home to do the registration, right? So I don't understand why we have old women here, those who are not schooling are still here. So tomorrow we have to go to school. It's 3 days just break, 3 days break. We have to go to school, right? But still we are here. So today, I came here yesterday. They said the network wasn't good. And today too I'm here. They said they are doing those who came yesterday. And that today said those who did their forms. So I don't understand. I don't know what we are going to do now.
I came here yesterday around 8. I couldn't do the registration and I just came today. It was stressful because there's a lot of people here, as you can see. If I can't do it, I'll just leave for school. Very, very disappointed.
I'm Frimpong Richard from Yasantua Girls Senior High School, and I just returned back from school to do my voters registration. And I just said that we weren't doing some in our area. Yeah, so I had to go to Menchia constituency to come here so that I'll be able to register. And I've been here for quite a long time. And I'm patient, so I'm hoping that I'll get mine and then I'll go back to school.
So you had some applicants, new applicants, of course, issuing some concerns there that the GES gave them, that is the senior high schools, 4 days to also participate in the limited voter registration exercise. However, owing to the challenges, it has affected their time, and of course, by tomorrow, that deadline given them or that window given them will be closed, and that is where their disappointment lies. Now, in Kumasi, Metro 4 constituencies, including Nishayeso, Bantama, Menchia North and South, and Sobin constituencies are all registering at the Ashanti Regional Headquarters of the Electoral Commission. NDC Nishayeso constituency chairman Ernest Afeyam, who was disappointed with the entire process, shared his frustration.
It is very hectic and laborious, because if you look around and you can see the congestion, you can see the pressure here. I even doubt whether all the registrants here will be able to complete their registration before leaving.
That you are doing offline registration?
Yes, because you know the online registration is different from the offline, and the pace at which, or the rate at which the offline is going is at a very slow pace. So it tells you that maybe if it is online, you could take like 5 minutes. The offline, it will take about 10 minutes. So you yourself can attest to the fact that, yes, when we are doing online, it is different from offline. Now, I also have a challenge, a difficulty with the offline, because there's a reason why the first day, when we had internet disruptions, we had network challenges, we were asked to hold on until the network comes. Then we did that. Second day, we experienced intermittent offline, online, offline, and all that kind of stuff. Third day, there is a communique that we should do it offline. So the question I'm asking is that, if we knew we could do it offline, why then did we waste the whole of the first day from 8 a.m. up to somewhere 12 p.m., some 3 p.m.? So it's somehow conflicting. But all the same, I think that the situation here is hectic. That's what I would say. Very laborious. Even coupled with the fact that if you enter into the room where they are capturing the data, there is no air conditions there. There is no fans there. And a whole entity like the Electoral Commission operating with this all kind of human resource, and there is no air condition there. It doesn't make the work conducive for even those who are registering and those the EC people, the registrants, and the stakeholders. So I think something must be done about it. But what else can we do?
It's almost is calling for additional center. What do you also think about that?
Yeah, that is why we, the NDC, have always advocated that this thing should be done at the electoral areas. If this exercise is conducted at the electoral area, you can imagine we have 9 electoral areas in Shayeso. All these pressures will be eased. You understand? So,
Ernest Afeyam as the NDC chairman for the Inshayeso constituency. Now, Frank Kwejo Dodo, director in charge of NADMO in the Ashanti region, who was monitoring the exercise in Subin Constituency Registration Center for the NPP, also has this to say.
As usual, you could see all the centers at various constituencies. The challenge is the network. People are available, they are in line, they've been in queue. Someone could be in queue since morning like 9 a.m. By close of day, wouldn't be able to register. All because of the system. And I think especially the Form 1, 2, 3 students that have attained 18 years, that we need to get them on the voter register. GS has considered some 4 days, but we should look at it again. Because if you are to check per the days and time being given, the 4 days is going to end soon. But I'm not sure per over 600,000 that we are talking of, we've been able to even achieve 50,000 across the country. So consideration needs to be given, then we look at that.
Frank Kwejo Dodo as the NADMO director in the Ashanti region, who was representing the governing New Patriotic Party in the Ashanti region to monitor and observe the limited voter registration exercise ongoing. Of course, which it's past 5, so it's expected to end. Meanwhile, tensions flared in Esojamani in the eastern region in the ongoing limited voter registration exercise when supporters of the National Democratic Congress at midnight confronted alleged non-residents reportedly bust in from Ketu North's Apepe area to register. The non-residents were said to have been brought in from the hometown of Pius Enam Hajide, the New Patriotic Party parliamentary candidate. NDC supporters insisted that the non-residents be returned to their communities. arguing that they were ineligible to register. This led to heated altercations and increased tensions in the area. Police intervened and arrested the suspects, later granted them bail. Let's speak to our Eastern Regional correspondent, Kojo Ansah, who joins me now. Kojo, good evening.
Good evening, Joseph.
Let me find out from you whether the registration exercise has ended for today.
Well, so yes, registration exercise has ended in almost all the centers in Eastern region, especially, the centers that I monitored. And I must say that, the transitioning to the offline mode has, speed up the registration process compared to the previous, 2 days that the exercise started. However, it seems the delay that many people were complaining at the center on the offline mode is due to a human, should I say human error or a human man-made, error. Especially, let me explain this because the people that are engaged, especially New Job in North or New Job in South, the party executives and the party agents were saying that the registration officials were not fast enough to register the number of people that turn up to register. So they were blaming them that they were not facilitating the process. But the EC official says they have to ensure that information being given them were accurate and that there's no mistake on the information that they will feed into the system.
Now let's talk about the tension that broke out during the registration process, where it was alleged that the candidate for Ketu representing the NPP, Pius Enam Hajide, bussed some applicants to the registration centers. What really transpired?
All right, so Asujaman shares border with the voter region. So in every registration exercise, we used to record such an incident and allegations of individuals bussing, prospective voters from the part of voter region to Asujaman as it were to show up their margins. So this time around, last night, the NDC in the constituency picked the information that some individuals, they were claiming that Pius Enam Hajide has barred some people from Afefe, which is his hometown in the Ketu North, where he previously contested a parliamentary seat. However, now contesting in the Asojama constituency where the incumbent member of parliament, Apim Nyako. So the NDC supporters went to the home where they believe that these people have been kept, and it's led to altercation and confusion. They took the intervention of the Asojaman police to come in, and they arrested the suspects, sent them to the police station, but granted them bail. However, during the registration, all the suspects were challenged by the NDC. So the NDC believes that they are going to ensure that their names are expunged from the register.
Very well then. Thank you very much, Kojo Ansah. We'll be touching base with you tomorrow as well to monitor the situation there in the Eastern region. Kojo Ansah is our Eastern regional correspondent there, bringing us this particular report. Let's bring you some more other stories right after this breather.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
This is Starr Today. My name is Joshua Nana Kwame Ayira. Now, governance expert Dr. Eric Odrosai has urged the Media Foundation for West Africa to seek legal redress if they are dissatisfied with the presidency's report, refusing them their request to release KPMG's audit report on the GRA SML deal. In a letter dated May 7, 2024 and signed by the Chief Director of the Jubilee House, H.M. Wood, he indicated that the full KPMG audit report comprised opinions, advice, deliberations, and recommendations that are integral to the President's deliberative process and, therefore, qualifies as exempt information under Section 51A and B1. But Media Foundation for West Africa says it will petition the RTI Commission over the President's decision. Suleiman Ibrahima is Executive Director of the Foundation, and he's been speaking with my colleague Joshua Kojo Mensah.
Misrepresentation or misinterpretation of that particular section of the Act, or it's just a way to hide behind, certain legal provisions and not disclose the information, which ought to be a public document in the first place, because the president has already taken his decision on the KPMG report, indicated that he's accepted the recommendations of the report, and beyond that, giving directives on what has to be done by the contracting parties. And so one wonders when the authors of that response say that the KPMG report contains opinions, recommendations, and so on, and in their opinion, releasing it would affect the deliberative processes by the president. One then asks, what deliberative processes again? Is the president now going to engage SML to deliberate on the next steps, or GRA to deliberate on the next steps? I thought that the president, before releasing the report, had done all that. So for me, the provision they are citing would have applied if we had made this request prior to the president's communications about his decision on the KPMG report. But once he's done that, it's a document that should be in the public domain. And I don't think that the provision they are citing really validates the claim that they are making. And so we're going to take the next steps and ensure that the right thing is done. In their response, they would have basically said that the KPMG report is what the president communicated through his director of communications. So to the extent that that was either a redacted format or a summarized, or whatever the president wanted to pick from the report was what was communicated, it certainly means that the full report is there. And beyond that, as I said, if that was a full report, they would have said, well, the full report is basically what the president communicated.
Right.
And to the extent that that was not said, it means that the full report is there. And I think that it ought to be put out there in the public domain.
So you heard Suleiman Abrahima there in an earlier conversation with my colleague Joshua Kojo Mensah. On this particular matter, where a letter from the presidency refused to grant the request by the Media Foundation for West Africa for the presidency to release the KPMG audit report on the SML, GRE SML deal, and citing Section 5.1 of the RTI, stating that such an information is exempt. But we'll find out from Samir Obeng. Samir Obeng has been with the coalition, that is the RTI, on this particular matter. They made some recommendations and amendments at the time in 2018 for some provisions to be looked at, and he joins us over the line. Good evening, Samir.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for making time with us on Starr today. I'm sure you've been following this, and you may have a thought or two on the posture by the presidency with regard to this particular audit report. Now, they are citing Section 5.1, describing the demand that they are making for this particular report as exempt. How do you, or what is your take on this particular development?
Well, in global best practices on right to information laws, there are certainly exempt clauses, which provides for the kinds of information that cannot be provided, and this is meant to ensure that certain categories of information which, when provided, would harm a particular process are not provided. And so, yes, in Ghana's Right to Information Act, exempt provisions were made. But in that same context of best practices, we like to look at exempt provisions from the angle of the public interest, so that the public interest has the ability to override some of these exemptions when the public interest in the subject matter makes it reasonable, necessary, important for such information to be released despite exempt provisions. And that's why I find it as a missed opportunity by the presidency to have cited the provisions in the exemption sections of the RTI Act as reasons why they cannot give out this information. Why? Because this is a matter that has gained public interest. The people of Ghana are interested in the matter. His Excellency the President has commissioned KPMG to look into the matter. And I think that, to have furthered that posture then it wouldn't have been bad at all that after providing the summaries, which the letter from the presidency said they had provided, they would have put out the full report, because there is precedent on some of these things. Even in an era where there was no right to information law, in the decade and things, some of these investigative audit work were put out in a way that allowed for citizens to know what it is, for people who are advocating on the subject matter to know what it is and to take it forward from there. Whereas there's been this letter out from the presidency, I really, really would encourage that the presidency takes a second look at this posture on the subject matter and see this from a point of view of the public interest, see this from the point of view of the need to shine sunshine, on these issues so that they can come clear with the public. Because all of these things have ways of creating very negative public perception, which I do not think that the government, His Excellency the President, and his regime needs at this time. And so I would have wished that it is something different. I still wish that, within this period, we'll hear, alternative news from them on their willingness to put this out, rather than the current posturing that they've got, because it's completely not progressive.
Speaking on the back of the this posture by the presidency that you said that could necessarily, to some extent, create a negative perception, how concerning is the Section 5.1, which, as it were, affords the president and his vice discretion or some discretionary powers and insulation, as many would describe, to information that's hitherto classified or declassified?
Well, the section that was quoted really is not about classification or declassification. The section that was quoted, the thinking behind it when the act was passed was that, assuming that there is information that has been brought to the attention of His Excellency the President, an advice, a recommendation, or any of those things, which it is now the presidency is in the process of using those information to make a decision, just so that the decision-making process is not thwarted or is not affected. The exemption clause was provided so that you don't go requesting for information which has been provided for purposes of advising the president for an ultimate decision-making, right? So we are in the process, if everybody is requesting for information that is now being used for decision-making, that can be a challenge. But not in this SML case, but at least from my understanding of where we are on this matter, and even the information that has come out of the presidency, some firm conclusions, have been made on the subject matter. It means that the KPMG report has been taken note of by the presidency, some directives given. And if people are requesting that on the basis of the directives that you have given, let's see the kind of advice, the kind of findings, the kind of recommendations that KPMG made in the full report, for us to know what informed the kinds of decisions that you have taken as the presidency on the subject matter. I really do not think that the presidency should take the view that they will perpetually be in a decision-making process. They will perpetually be in a consideration, stage, for which reason they would not be able to provide this information. I honestly do not think that it's a progressive reading or interpretation of the provisions of the RTI Act.
Sami, thank you very much. Always a pleasure reaching out to you there. Sami Obeng is the Executive Secretary for Parliamentary Network Africa and also a member of the Right to Information Coalition there, reacting to the letter from the presidency declining the request by the Media Foundation for West Africa demanding the release of KPMG's audit report on the GRA and SML contract. That the presidency cited Section 5.1 and 1B of the Right to Information Act, stating that such an information that has been submitted to the presidency or to the president himself, either himself or the his vice, is exempt, and that cannot be given out, rather. But Samuel Bain is saying that he's encouraging the president to take a second look at the request and also grant them. Hitherto, not make it quite give it or create a perception, a negative public perception that the president is trying to cover up some, as it were, report of alleged corruption, and that has been a concern there. Samuel being there, and in that particular report, we'll be engaging Dr. Eric Odro Osai, who is a governance expert there, and he's saying that if the party, that is the Media Foundation for West Africa, is dissatisfied with the letter or response from the presidency, they can seek legal redress. However, they are also saying that they are going to petition the Right to Information Commission there to react to this particular, which is a provision there that is available to them. As and when we do get Dr. Eric Odrosai, we'll definitely bring him back on the line to also share his take on this particular matter. He says that Media Foundation for West Africa can seek legal redress if they so desire. That is giving the response from the presidency. If they are not appreciative of it, they have that freedom to do so. This is still Starr Today, live on Starr 103.5 FM.
Starr Today, first, fast, and credible.
Now, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has revealed that attempt by the government to digitalize the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, as a means to maximize revenue were initially sabotaged by some staff in the IT department. According to him, after carefully studying ECG's revenue for some time, he realized that the annual amount accrued was stagnant. Therefore, he instructed that revenue collection be digitized. However, some IT staff inserted ransomware in a bid to stop the process. Through national security efforts, the culprits were arrested, allowing for the digitization of ECG. He made these remarks at the Commonwealth Regional Conference on Corruption here in Accra.
Ghana. The monthly revenue was 450 million Ghana cedis every month. And then I looked at the data, right, because, over time we've kept increasing electricity prices and all of that. But for some reason, for about 4 to 5 years, when you look at the data, it's 450 million every month. It didn't change. I said, how come? This is remarkable. So I said, we need to send in a team to digitalize revenue collection at the Electricity Company of Ghana. So we sent in a team and we began the process of digitalizing. Can you believe that workers within the system sabotaged? They put in ransomware and the system essentially collapsed. We had to send in national security, eventually found that it was some of the staff in the IT department who were culpable. And we found the computer from which this ransomware was injected in the system. It took us a while to restore this system. They asked for a ransom, actually, for this to work. Can you imagine? They submitted a bill that we should pay for them to let the system work again. They were arrested. And we restored the system, and we digitalized the system, and we said that no more cash payments for electricity in Ghana. You can only pay by mobile money, by your electronic bank transfers, and so that is now the case. And from 450 million cedis a month, collections have now gone to over 1 billion cedis a month.
On his part, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia emphasized that the motive behind paperless pot system were not spontaneous, but was to sabotage the system, which was specifically designed to streamline processes, combat corruption, and curb revenue leakages.
When you are digitalizing in any environment, you are changing the status quo. The status quo is the way it is because people are benefiting from it. The inefficiencies that we see, that somehow things don't work. You have to queue and apply for a passport and it takes so long, clearing your goods at the port. And they had so many steps in terms of the process flow of how things work at the port. All sorts of impediments, because of course at every stage, it means you have to pay a bribe to move to the next stage. And they had this place called the long room, and it was really a very long room. Officials seated across, and you had to move from process to process. And we said, look, these processes should be digitalized. And we digitalized the whole process at the port and went for a paperless port. And then we implemented it. Can you believe that the very first day of implementation, we had not even gone for 4 to 8 hours of implementation, there was already organized demonstration that the system is not working. But I said, we haven't even given the system a chance to work. But the demonstrations were being organized by customs officers, getting people to demonstrate against the system. This is the intelligence we got, because it's taking away this corruption revenue that they are getting.
You have the Vice President, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Baumia, there, who was speaking at the Commonwealth Regional Conference on Corruption there, and he made these allegations or these claims there, or these remarks that we expected to hear from the ECG regarding this particular matter. But as and when we do get them, we definitely will bring you back subsequently in our other programs there. This is still Start Today with me, Joshua and Kwame Ayira, and we'll move on to some other stories there. Now, the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana is demanding the immediate posting of newly qualified teachers, as it says the delays affecting the lives of these teachers. The association says despite the teachers completing national service and passing their licensure exams, they remain unposted for the past 5 months, hence the call. Here are excerpt of this particular statement that we will be bringing you. But before then, the president of the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana, Jephthah Kwame Sefa, joins me in the studio. Jephthah, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm doing very well. I was tempted to ask how you were doing, because when concerns like this come up, you'll be wondering what the situation or the mindset of the affected parties are. When I say what is your mindset, what is your reasoning of what is going on before we even move on to substantive matters?
All right, thank you very much, and then greetings to your esteemed listeners across the country.
Right.
I think where we find ourselves as a country, we're believing as trained teachers, we are believing that a priority must be placed on us and the education system in the country, because as it stands now, we can believe that if things are going the way we are seeing, then it means it's like a travesty that undermines the fabric of our education system. And the question is, how can people go through military training school or police training school and spend like 6 months or whichever number of months and come out and would never be out and be calling on the governments for posting immediately? It is a similar thing that we are experiencing or we are going through in the College of Education, because we are also going for training. We are not going there to have a wide array of exploration of, how things are done in the universities. But our case is teacher training colleges, College of Education, where we are trained specifically to come to the basic schools and then take care of our youngsters up there, shape their minds of those future leaders we have there. But it is something we have all not understood. And cannot understand why it is being such that after going through this intensive training for 4 years in the College of Education, serving the country for a year diligently as national service personnel, and then sitting down for the mandatory GTLE, passing it, and still you have to call on the government that whatever it's trained you for, it should give you a chance for you to act or serve.
Now, walk us through exactly how you got to this particular stage, how we are here now.
Okay, sure. So, having served the country for a year as national service personnel and then passing the GTLE I'm talking about, we were expecting that the government would come clear with plans advanced about how it is going to get us to the post, but that never came. So we had to, as leaders and association, approach the GES and the ministry and then engage them on how things are going to be, the plans they have for us. Somewhere last year and then coming to the beginning of this year, we were made aware or were informed that the budget presentation that was done in Parliament included that trainees are going to be posted or there's going to be recruitment by the GES, and that they are waiting for clearance from the Ministry of Finance before they can carry out that process. But from that time till now, we have never heard from them, and we've been making so many follow-ups, but it turns out to be that the answer still remains the same, that we are waiting for clearance from the Ministry of Finance.
Let me find out from you, how many of your colleagues are affected by this?
So we're looking at over 10,000 qualified trained teachers. We are using the word qualified trained teachers because a number of them trade in the GTLE we're talking about, which we may have had our reservations, but whichever form it takes, we are classifying those people who have successfully passed the GTLE as qualified trained teachers, that we are looking forward to seeing the government or the GES open the portals for them to start applying, and then recruitment will start.
What has been the implication this is having, and how long have they stayed home? 4 months?
5 months.
5 months.
Sure.
Right.
5
And
to 6 months, sure.
okay, so then you've written to the Education Ministry?
Yes.
And what has been their response?
Like I was saying, the response had been that through GES, they are waiting for clearance from the Ministry of Finance, and we don't know how long it will take for the clearance to be given. And like I was saying, that if things should go the way we are seeing, then it's just like a travesty that undermines the fabric of our education system, because you cannot put people into 4 years of intensive training, let them come and serve the country for 1 year, making 5 years, and still in the 6th year they should be calling on you for postings to be done, or you should get them jobs for them to do. It's equally like people going through the police and military training school. They are being trained for a particular or a specific purpose.
Right.
We cannot have police training school, people graduating from the police training school and the military training school coming out and calling on the government for jobs, or people asking them to go and find something to do. That is not the kind of training we got. We've been trained for a particular purpose, and that is where we fit best, and the government must pay attention to us because of the future of the country that lies in these people that we are creating that kind of hostage for them.
You have made some recommendations that the portals be open so that there would be the release of postings by next month. What happens since the ministry is saying that it has written to GES? GES says it's waiting for clearance from the Ministry of Finance. What happens? What is the immediate measures that you are putting in place, or is the demand that you are still holding on to?
So we all want the best, and we would believe that maybe by the 1 month or ultimatum that we've given them, definitely there will be a development, and not just a mere development or a word. We are really looking forward to seeing them do actions, and that's the portal will be open and we see that the recruitment process has started. But should it not happen, as we speak now, there are several agitations that have been in there. The people that are aggravated about this whole delays and all that, and should it continue to be so, whichever measures that we think that we can also undertake to make our concerns freely expressed, more expressed, to reach to an angle where the government would understand that we understand the pain we are going through, we will do it. Because I've been saying that's maybe just as the Bible says that if there is a man to pray, there is a God to answer. Maybe if there is a man to protest, there will be a government to listen.
Speaking of which, now what happens if is there any ultimatum you'll be given, or you are patiently waiting for
a month? For a month, by next month, latest by next month. We expect that definitely once they start the process, it's not going to take a day or two. So at least the process should start anytime soon or now, so that latest by next month we will see a perfect.
Are you confident of this? Because I'm asking, because when it gets to electioneering year, a whole lot of certain government activities and among other obligations are halted, where a lot of attention is given to this. Do you in any way perceive this to be a hindrance to your request?
I personally don't see that, and I cannot speak to that. So long as I'm just speaking as a concerned citizen. I don't think that we can let these anti-governmental plans and activities stop the government from doing the right thing. Is it that we are closing eyes from the basic schools? Is it that we are closing eyes from how we can shape the minds of the children in the basic schools? Whichever way the government, in case, may be wanting to handle things, it should not affect the education system. It should not affect us. Because I speak with you, there is another year group that has completed that. Part of them have gone to sit for the license exams again. By somewhere November, December, they will also be out and be demanding what this current year group is demanding now.
Very well. Thank you very much,
Sure.
Jephthah. Kwame Sefa, as the president for the Trained Teachers Association of Ghana. They're making some demands of the government that they should open the portals for the release of postings by next month, which they have written to the the Education Ministry. The Education Ministry has also responded that they have directed the GES to respond. The GES is also saying that they are waiting on the Ministry of Finance for clearance on this particular matter. Jephthah, did speak extensively, making some pleas to the respective sector ministry and, of course, other stakeholders involved in this matter. Hopefully, we'll get to engage them and get to find out if there has been some resolution to the request that they are making. Now, the Ghana Journalists Association, in consultation with the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association and other partners, has revoked the media blackout imposed on the Member of Parliament for Yendi Farouk Aliu Mahama and for Ewutu Senya East Mavis Hawakumsen. The decision was taken after the GJA and its media partners met today to review the blacklist imposed on the MP. The Yendi MP, led by Minister Designate for Information Fatima Abubakar, rendered an apology to GJA and also withdrew all legal actions. You would recall that on February 6, 2024, the GJA imposed a blackout on the Yendi MP following an attack on Mohammed Alabira, reporter for Accra-based City FM during MPP's parliamentary primaries. Addressing a news conference here in Accra, President of the Ghana Journalists Association, Albert Kwame Ayira, urged all journalists and media houses to comply accordingly.
Later the same day, Farouk Aliu Mahama wrote an apology letter to the management of City FM and TV and copied the GJ. Earlier today, he has also written to the GJA on his resolve to resolve the matter between the GJA, the City FM, and himself. After meeting as a coalition to assess the conciliatory gesture of the MP, the plea by the Minister of Information Designate and the Deputy Minister of Information Designate, and the positive feedback from the management of City FM, the GJA and its partners have decided to end the media boycott placed on Honorable Farouk Aliu Mahama. And I take that aspect again. After meeting as a coalition to assess the conciliatory gesture of the MP, the plea by the Minister of Information Designate and their Deputy Designate, and the positive feedback from the management of City TV, City FM, the GJA and its partners have decided to end the media boycott placed on Honorable Farouk Aliu Mahama, MP for Yendi. We therefore respectfully request all media organizations to take note and act accordingly with effect from today, May 9, 2024. Let me point out that we have the full acceptance of City FM, City TV management on this matter. We have their full acceptance and the full cooperation in this regard. Now, update on the Awakumsen case. Dear colleagues, you will recall that the GJA imposed a similar news blackout on the Minister of Fisheries and MP for Ewutu Senya East on 25th January 2024. This followed a brutal attack on David Kobner, a journalist with Cape FM, on 4th January 2024 by alleged aides and supporters of Ms. Kumsey during the NPP's parliamentary candidate vetting in the Central Region. However, in a statement issued on February 16, 2024, we announced our decision to end the boycott. The decision was taken after Madam Awakumse redeemed her promise to engage the GJA to seek an amicable settlement. Accompanied by the Minister Designate for Information, Fatima Abubakar, the MP met officials of the GJA and its partners to express regret over the attack on the journalists while pledging to help identify and arrest the perpetrators. It was on the basis of this pledge, which was backed by the Minister Designate for Information, that a blackout was lifted. The latest development on this case is that Ms. Awakumsin has honored her well by taking two suspects identified to her during the said meeting to the police to assist the police with investigations.
Albert Kwabena Jumfo as the GJA president.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
If you're just tuning in, this is Starr Today, live on Starr 103.5 FM. We're streaming live on Facebook at 1035 FM. You can just check our handles out and, of course, send in your thought, your comment, and, of course, any question that you have. And if there is any news breaking where you are, please don't hesitate to share with us and give us details. And of course, you can equally add your name and your details where we can reach you as well. And of course, engage you on Starr today. This is also your election hub where we bring you credible, exclusive, and comprehensive stories in and around the region and across the country. Let's now bring you some business related stories. Now, the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, has bemoaned the exodus of foreign brands from the Ghanaian business climate, describing it as an exciting news. According to the association, the trajectory defeats competition and is bane to government revenue mobilization, though it admits local players can take advantage of the situation and build capacity to expand and operate to fill such vacuums. It was quick to add that consequences of such occurrences are far-reaching since it comes with job losses and its attendant problems, thereby having some negative tendencies on the economy at large. Dr. Humphrey Ayira is president of the AGI.
If the eventuality has happened, they seek to exit, I believe it creates opportunity anyway. As much as it's a bad news, it can be good news to others. And then it becomes the opportunity for those who are in the space who may increase their market share, or others may take a risk to venture into the space. And you need to watch out and study and see whether these companies exiting are so sophisticated in their operations. Globe that you mentioned, it's what they call an e-commerce business, and there are other complementary ones and other competitors in the space. Then you ask yourself whether their cost of operation is the issue that is moving them out. Can a Ghanaian enterprise take it up or partner them or start it all by itself and reduce its cost and say attain the delivery of quality services at a competitive price to the Ghanaian community? If it's so, then it becomes an opportunity and a positive action to a local industry player who can take advantage of it. So we are not clamoring for such events to play out before we can derive positive action. But if it happens as it is, I presume there will be other players in the space that will take advantage to increase their market share. Don't you forget what has happened. They have come to define the model of business. That could have been existing. They might have come in with some technology that they could have transferred. So definitely a misfortune to one entity can be a fortune to other. And therefore, the decision becomes the one of the promoter that takes it. It's not of the industry's perspective to be jubilating that some FDIs are going out and becomes an opportunity for the local players. No, that is not our wish. That is not our school of thought. We believe in competition. And therefore, when competition takes you out, another individual or entity can take it up. That's the bottom line of competition.
Dr. Humphrey Ayira is the president of the AGI. Let's now bring you some sports stories.
Starr today, first, fast, and credible.
Now, the head coach of the Ghana national boxing team, Kwame Ayira, has disclosed the sudden decision by Ghana's lightweight boxer and Tokyo Olympics bronze medalist Samuel Techi to leave amateur for professional will not in any way affect Ghana's chances of qualifying for the Olympic Games in Paris. Samuel Techi on Wednesday announced he was taking up his professional career after signing a new deal with Streetwise Management. However, speaking exclusively to my colleague Monica Bukari, Coach Ayira indicated the team respects his decision.
What can you do? If you remember when we were about to go to the Commonwealth Games, I think last year, some years back, and that was the time that he was fresh, won the Olympic bronze medals, and everybody was looking up to him. And he decided to go to pro at that time. But we still keep on training, and that is where Joseph Kwame and the others emerged. That's why we had 2 silver, 1 bronze. That is Abraham Mensah, Joseph Kwame, and Wahid Omar. So, well, we still have hope that no matter what the situation, because it's a professional decision for him, and I don't think he just took it alone. He has others who advise him on that. Who knows if he goes to the qualification and he didn't qualify.